Let me get this situated. All right. Well, welcome everyone to the Region 6 Planning and Policy Council meeting, the first meeting of fiscal year 2022. I cannot believe that. My name's Kirby Fye. I'm with the department. Just a few reminders. This meeting, and we're going to look at this quarterly, but this meeting is being held virtually per the Open Meetings Act, just to keep everyone safe. We just felt at this time this would be the safest way for us to meet, and we'll just continue to look at it each quarter. With that being said, since this meeting is being held virtually, we are recording the meeting, and the meeting will be posted to the department website within the next day or two. So if you don't mind, when you're presenting, speaking, just please state your name before you do so for the purpose of our minutes. And if you're, excuse me, if you're not speaking or presenting, just make sure you're on mute just to prevent any feedback from coming through. I'm going to go ahead and go through the attendance, and then I'm going to hand it over to you, Richard. So like I said, my name is Kirby Fye. I'm with the department. We have Heather Vestal, who joined via telephone. We have one other individual that joined via phone. I didn't catch your name when you signed in. Can you please state your name? Might have to come back.
That may have been me. I was trying to join on a different phone.
Oh, so it was you, Heather?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, okay. All right, great. Just wanted to make sure I got you. We have Avis Easley with the department, Jerry Moore, Julian Stone, Kristen Veloff with the department, Cooper Urkel Bryant, Lori Hendon, Lori Rash, Marcus Jones, Rachel Euler, Zach Blair with the department. Have I missed anyone? Don't believe so. All right, Richard, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Kirby. And again, thanks for setting this up. I meant to get some stuff out before I went on vacation. And y'all bear with me. I was on vacation last week. I came back from the beach with a sinus infection. So I'm probably going to lose my voice at some point. But I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their schedule to join us again today. Just, of course, Julian's a new member, and we might have other new members. Just briefly, the purpose of the Region 6 Planning and Policy Council is to be an outreach in the regions for the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. And I guess the number one priority of each regional council is to identify needs in their region, get the data to back it up, and then forward to the department what those needs are to hopefully, as we move forward year after year, to fill in gaps in services. So that's kind of why we're here today, and it's an important work we do. Again, thanks everybody for joining us today. We sent out the minutes to the April meeting, I think yesterday. So if you had a chance to look those over, then the chair will entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I make a motion. This is Lori Hendon. I'm making a motion to accept the minutes as virtually read.
Thanks, Lori. And second? Just anybody.
I think I heard Heather Vestal. Heather, are you still on the line? I thought I heard her second, but maybe not.
I don't think I'm allowed to second. Am I, Kirby? I would have done that otherwise. Sorry.
I wish you could.
This is Jerry Moore. I'll second.
Thank you, Jerry. Boy, that was rough to get a second. I don't know if we want to vote on this or not.
I think we're all mad that you were on vacation.
I'm sorry?
I think we're all mad that you just got back from the beach.
Yeah, so am I. The motion's been made, properly seconded to accept the April Region 6 minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand, anything. Any opposed?
Nay.
None opposed. So the Region 6 minutes passed from April. Thank you. Okay, this is going to be tricky. We had a secretary who from Compass that unfortunately some of her responsibilities are changed. So we need a new secretary for Region 6. And I can imagine every one of y'all wanting to volunteer for that. So I'll hush to whatever you do.
If any of you have any questions about the position, it's not that terrible, I promise. If anybody has any questions, Richard and I will be happy to answer them about the role. It's a little bit, at this time anyway, I think it's a little bit more manageable because the meetings are being recorded. So you can go back and listen as you're taking in the minutes. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, I'm here to answer any questions as well.
Yeah, it really is. I've been trying to take the minutes, and it really is handy that you can go online. I'll make some bullet points as the meeting progresses, but then I can go online and do what I need to do there and get those minutes taken. But our policies call for 3 officers: a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. And the secretary, of course, their role is to take the minutes of the meeting and forward to the statewide council. So again, not everybody at once, but somebody. Okay, the chair will entertain nominations for Secretary of Region 6.
And if it's something you want to think about too, we're in this position, Richard, in 2 other regions right now as well. It's just that time, I think.
Yeah, summer people.
So you might want to think about it. Really, the secretary is a very important role for managing the regional councils. Obviously, I'm always there for support. But the biggest thing is, helping to prepare the agenda, which Richard is great at preparing anyway. So helping to put together the agenda, sharing it with the council members, managing that membership list as new applications come in. There's a template out there for the membership list. So it's really just a matter of reviewing every year and taking those minutes and sharing them with the council prior to each meeting so that they can be reviewed and approved. Those are the biggest roles. And, if there's a time that you can't make a meeting, everybody helps out. Richard and Lynn help each other out. So it's not just all on your shoulders. It's a true team effort. So those are the basics. If it's something you want to think about, or if you want to nominate yourself, whatever.
Okay, I guess what we can do is table this agenda item for the next meeting. And in the meantime, I'll do some arm twisting. How's that?
Whatever works for you.
Richard, this is Avis. Also, you may have some members or guests that are not on the call that is on your email group. And so if you have no one at this meeting that is volunteering, perhaps sending out an email, you may have some takers that may not be on the call today. So that's another way you could do it as well, to reach out. Oh, Lori Henderson says she'd think about it. Lori
Hendon. Look at you, all-star.
Oh, Hendon. I'm sorry. I said Henderson. Well, thank you for thinking about it, Lori. So you got a maybe. So so that's a good sign.
I can't stand to see Richard sweating.
You're a sweetheart.
He needs your help, Lori. He needs your help.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I'm there for support every step of the way. So just let us know if it's something that's approved.
I definitely will.
Thank you,
Oh,
Lori.
you're a sweetheart.
I certainly appreciate you. And I know Richard does too, as well as the entire council Thank you so much.
Thank
This
you.
way we can groom you for the next chair too.
Now, don't scare her away, Richard.
I'm going to hide underneath the rock.
Thanks so much, Lori. All right, now we got that taken care of. I have been sweating that. Kirby's here to give us the department report. Kirby?
All right, let me pull this up. So, okay. So it's already that time of year that I'll be working on the joint annual report. I can't believe this past year has just flown by. I'm going to send out an email within the next few weeks as another reminder, but I just wanted this to be on your radar since you all won't be meeting again until October, and these will be due in September. Please identify your region's key accomplishments achieved and challenges faced from July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, and your region's future plans. Each year, a joint annual report is produced and delivered to the governor and state legislature to highlight accomplishments, challenges, and plans for the future. The joint annual report is a collaborative effort between the department, all 7 regional councils, and the statewide council. Regional Council information for the FY21 Joint Annual Report should be sent via email to me no later than September 17th. And like I said, I will have an email sent out to remind you all of this. The Joint Annual Report is my favorite report. Avis is like, oh, your favorite report because it's so extensive, but I love it because it highlights all of the achievements with the department and the regional councils, and it goes to the governor, and it's just a time for you to really show all the work you've done over the past year and what's going on in your region. So please do that if you can. Year 3, FY 2022 of the 3-year plan is in progress. Regional councils will have an opportunity to review within the coming weeks. Development of the FY 2022 mental health block grant is underway. Statewide and regional councils will have an opportunity to review that as well. The 2021 legislative summary is complete and has been posted to the department website. I have the link here in my update, so I'll send that to you so that you can share. You can include that in your minutes and you can share with your council members. Zach Blair is actually going to go into more detail about that after my report. The department is releasing a new certification for peer support specialists designed specifically for young adults with lived experience of mental health, and or substance use challenges. The Certified Young Adult Peer Support Specialist program is tailored to young adults in both design and language with a target age range of 18 to 30 and a requirement of 1 year in recovery. The program includes a 1-week, 40-hour training session covering topics including responsibilities and expectations, strategic sharing, youth empowerment, positive youth development, the ladder of youth voice, and trauma-informed care. Through this training, specialists will gain the knowledge needed to provide youth and young adult-friendly peer support services to individuals under the age of 30. Peers certified through the program are also required to complete service hours and continuing education to maintain their certification. The program joins the department's current offerings in peer certification, the Certified Peer Recovery Specialist, and Certified Family Support Specialist. To learn more about the program, please check out the website, and I have a link directly to this article where you can gather more information in this update. And that's all I have at the moment.
Okay, Kirby, thank you. And you'll be forwarding that when we add it to our minutes, correct?
Correct. I'm going to send it right now, actually.
You're a champion.
Richard,
okay,
this is Avis. Just one more. Richard, this is Avis. Just one more thing before we move forward. If Lori Hendon is going to actually do the take the secretary position or be nominated for, we do need to take a vote.
Oh, okay.
Ava, she has to get approval from leadership, she said first.
Okay. Well, okay, that's fine.
And then we can just do that via email. We can do a vote via email after you get approval, Lori.
Okay.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Avis. Zach Blair's up next with the legislative summary. Zach, how you doing, brother?
Hello, Chairman Barber. How are you today?
Chairman Barber. Wow. That sounds important, doesn't it?
I wanted to tell everybody when you started threatening arm twisting earlier before we got a volunteer that if they've seen you in person, you don't want Richard Barber twisting your arm. So I'm glad someone volunteered. I don't think that would be a pleasant experience to have your arm twisted by Richard, but I'm glad y'all got that settled, and looking forward to potentially working with that person anytime I need to be on the agenda. The first thing that I wanted to do, if Kristen, if she could turn her camera on and unmute. Kristen is our new Assistant Director of Legislation and Rules, and I'd like to introduce you to her. Kristen and I worked at DCS together on the legislative team. I think we did did we do 3 sessions together? I think it was 13, 14, 15, and 16. So yeah, 4. So we go way back, but she was at the Tennessee Board of Regents as their Assistant Vice Chancellor of Government Affairs. And we were happy that we were able to steal her from that organization. And I know everybody has seen in the last couple of years that attention to mental health and substance use disorder continues to increase throughout the state. And as a result, more legislation and ideas related to that pop up. And we were one of the few state departments that only had one legislative person full time. And I was very happy that Commissioner allowed us to have a second person. So Kristen, if you want to say hello, I'll turn it over to you real quick.
Hello, everyone. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you and working with you. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be a part of the team and ready to get started and help in any way I can.
And the other thing that's exciting, Kristen's going to be likely your point of contact when we start the legislative proposal process again. And instead of getting emails from Kirby, you'll likely be getting them from either Kristen or myself moving forward, so we can kind of simplify that process. So Kirby and Avis and their team don't have to play third party between everyone, and we can hopefully expedite that and make it a little bit more efficient for everyone involved, and hopefully take some work off of Avis and Kirby's already very full plate. So we're excited to do that, and excited that Kristen's on the team to support our legislative program. The next thing, Kirby, are you able to give me the ability to share my screen? I know I can post a link to the legislative summary, but I was just going to share the one on my screen, if that's okay with you.
Yes, I think, do you have the ability up there? I don't know if I have to grant you permissions or not.
Oh, let me double check.
I think you should be able to just share it. I don't think I blocked it. I wouldn't know how to block it.
Here we go. Can everybody see this?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Great. So as Kirby and those folks that we talked to earlier stated previously, our legislative summary for the year is posted on our website, and feel free to go and access that, print it off if you'd like. Highly recommend using it in its electronic form, however, because there are links so you can actually review text of the summary. I'm going to hit a couple highlights. All of these bills are important in their own way, but I'm hoping the ones that I'm highlighting for you are more focused on the work that we do in the department and the work that our community providers and advocacy individuals do throughout the state. So I'm going to go through these kind of one by one. I'm going to hit them at a very high level. And then if you have questions, either feel free to stop me during a bill, or we can wait till the end and you can ask questions. The first piece of legislation on here is House Joint Resolution 175. This is a memorial for Ellen Abbott, who passed away early in the year. I know the folks that have worked in the criminal justice and recovery court population knew her and knew of her work. And we miss her in the department a great deal. And it was very fitting that the legislature honored her with a joint resolution. So if you want to take a look at the text of that, please feel free to click there and take a look when you get a moment. When it comes to bills that had impact on mental health, the first one that I'll point out is Senate Bill 753, House Bill 81, which is now Public Chapter 62. For those that are hearing this for the first time, after a bill becomes law, it's assigned a public chapter number and then becomes state law, and then is integrated later into the code books that you see or the website where people review Tennessee Code Annotated. But until then, it's referred to by its public chapter number, and the public chapter is the final passed version of the bill. This bill was an administration bill that we proposed and requested. The thing that I'll highlight for the councils in that second to last bullet point, the regional councils are actually not in state statute, and there's also been some issues and concerns in the past during our audit process that the membership was supposed to conform to the same statutory requirements that the statewide council had to follow. So what this bill did is it said that each regional planning and policy council is supposed to strive to make sure that a majority of members are service recipients, former service recipients, or family members of service recipients. And that keeps in the spirit of the requirement for the statewide council, but it does provide a little bit flexibility that wasn't in statute specifically for the regional councils because they are appointed by you all as a community and they're citizen based rather than appointed by the department. We wanted to make sure that the councils had as much flexibility as possible while still maintaining the intent of the statewide council membership. So the second part of that bill that I think is important, during the special session at the end of 2020 relative to the telehealth and telemedicine initiatives that the state was looking at, there was a slight drafting error that was confusing related to our licensed alcohol and drug abuse counselors and their authorization to practice telehealth. While the legislation was clear that that service was to be allowed for that, there was some other language that made it a little confusing. So we asked to clarify that to make sure that our licensed alcohol and drug abuse counselors in Tennessee are clearly authorized to provide telehealth or telemedicine services, just like other medical professionals and healthcare professionals in the state. So again, that was a clarification that we asked to pursue, and hopefully will relieve any confusion related to that moving forward. The next bill that I'd like to touch on at the bottom of this page, Senate Bill 739, House Bill 73. This is the K-12 Mental Health Trust Fund Act. And you probably heard quite a bit about this. What happened this year was the governor proposed that $250 million be set aside in non-recurring funding to be able to fund mental health services, treatment, prevention for K-12 students. And how that looks is 225 of the 250 million will be placed into a trust and an investment that will be allowed to grow on an annual basis. And 10% of the original appropriation, so 25 million, is placed into an operating account. And then the proceeds from the trust will be transferred to that on an annual basis. And that will allow non-recurring one-time funding to be able to be used for recurring program expenses for the specific purpose of providing services, prevention, and treatment to students in our K-12 school system. So we're really excited about that, very grateful for that large investment, and looking forward to doing a needs assessment to determine the needs around the state for mental health for K-12 students, and then implement those needs depending on the amount of funding that we have access to based on the ability of that trust fund to return certain investments on a regular basis. So very, very excited about that. And I know you probably heard a decent amount about that as the session progressed this year. Moving forward on page 4, Senate Bill 207, House Bill 215, now Public Chapter 309. I see that Mary Lyndon's on the call with us, and I know that she's very familiar with this legislation. The legislature wanted to be sure that recovery houses are coming up under some type of certifying agency. They're not required to be licensed under this bill, but they are hoping that recovery residences are looking at some organizations that provide standards and those that are funded by the department or by the federal government, and requires referrals to those recovery residences to be from or be to facilities that are certified under an organization or funded by a state or federal agency. So this bill has a delayed effective date. So if you are in the sober living home, transitional homes for those that are having issues with substance use disorder, that's something that you're going to want to be aware of. And again, it's not requiring every home to be certified necessarily, but it does restrict referrals to residences that are certified. So please be aware of that if you're an agency that does housing, especially housing for those that have substance use disorder populations in those. The next bill, Senate Bill 558, House Bill 1132. This is the creation of the Opioid Abatement Council and a fund that will allow for services and funding to be distributed throughout Tennessee as a result of these opioid lawsuits throughout the country and throughout the state of Tennessee. What this will do is it administratively attaches an independent counsel to the department for the purpose of being able to distribute this money in a fair way and in a way that meets the needs of communities where opioids have taken a particular toll. It also sets out a requirement for distribution for those funds, and most, or not most, I apologize, but a lot of that money goes directly to local governments, and then the other portion of the money comes through the state to distribute, like I said, based on need and based on the needs identified by the council when that happens. So the funds for that have not arrived yet. I know the Attorney General of the state continues to be in negotiation and through the procedure of those lawsuits. And I know that they are expecting a substantial amount to come down to this state and other states related to these lawsuits. But we will have more information, I'm sure, as we get more details on what will happen with that. The next bill, Senate Bill 118, House Bill 490. This bill creates the Medical Cannabis Commission. What that does is it will set up an independent agency that will study the use of medical marijuana in Tennessee and provide recommendations to the General Assembly for potential implementation of a medical cannabis program in the state. This does not legalize medical cannabis at this point, but it could put us down the pathway of legalization in the future based on the work of this commission. It also increased the limit of THC for certain cannabidiol substances with folks that have certain health issues. They have to meet certain requirements, a diagnosis from a doctor, a recertification process, if I remember correctly, in order to have access to that. But again, that bill does two different things: creating the commission and then allowing those substances for certain populations, non-smokable, non-consumable, but they're oil-based, topical-based substances that have up to 0.9% THC. Going to the next page, under the healthcare portion of the summary, Senate Bill 1265, House Bill 508. This authorizes unlicensed graduate students in certain training programs to be able to provide telehealth services. This is something that came about from many of the executive orders that you saw during the process of trying to react and respond to COVID. This puts that into state law and allows those graduate students to be able to get their clinical hours via telehealth services in order to get licensed. So that was something that the General Assembly felt needed to be made more permanent, and it is in that particular legislation. Going to page 8, state government related legislation. The first 2 bills on here, very grateful. The department and all other state entities go through a sunset review process every few years, and the state government review law requires the agencies to be audited and then go before the Government Operations Committee of the legislature to be extended. So we were very grateful that the department was extended to June 30th of 2025, and also that the statewide Planning and Policy Council was extended to that same date. So those will continue their existence, and we're very grateful for that. But it was our turn in that cycle to come up for review, be reviewed by the Comptroller's Office, and then be reviewed by the legislature. Senate Bill 773 at the bottom of this page is mostly related to the Department of Labor, but this bill was kind of a holdover in order to capture any of the executive order provisions that were out there that the departments felt they needed to continue. The thing that impacts our department, it authorizes transportation agents that are transporting individuals from their first evaluation for potential involuntary emergency inpatient hospitalization. It allows that transportation agent to get an identical electronic copy of the form instead of having to have a hard copy, because some of these evaluations are occurring electronically or via teleaudio. That hard copy was not always available, so now the transportation agents can receive an electronic copy to avoid any confusion related to that. I believe these are the last 2 bills. Let me double check. Yes, the last 2 bills under the criminal justice section of the summary are the 2 bills related to the governor's efforts in criminal justice reform. I am by no means an expert on these pieces of legislation, but we wanted to include these for your awareness. The first one, Senate Bill 767, House Bill 784, is related to local governments and entities who are operating community-based alternatives for incarceration. So instead of individuals going directly to a local jail or even in state custody, there could be some further community-based alternatives for those individuals. And then Senate Bill 768, House Bill 785 deals with reentry and makes changes to how incarcerated individuals are being prepared to be released, are provided services, and go through that process. So 2 important pieces of legislation on the criminal justice side that we thought were important to include. That is the last bill that I was intending to highlight. Happy to answer any questions or go to a specific page if there's something on there that you noticed. But that is everything that I have on my list to discuss, and I'm happy to answer any questions or any conversation that folks may want to have.
Zach, this is Richard. I do have a question, and I hope I'm not blindsiding you with it, because we've been reading about the opioid manufacturers settlements and the billions of dollars that are going to come in. And I know at one time, the district attorney's conference was kind of crossways with the state attorney general on settling some of those suits and where the money might go. Did they reach some kind of agreement where that lawsuit would move forward for the state?
So, Richard, I'm a little out of the loop on the specific lawsuits that the AG or that the DAs have brought against the manufacturers. This particular bill really is around the suit that the state is involved with, that also the local governments have brought. And it only applies to some of the suits that are ongoing and not every suit that's happening right now. Now, this bill did represent an agreement between the Attorney General and a lot of local governments for the creation and distribution of funds and this council. But I would be hesitant to say that there's been an agreement throughout the state in all situations for all the lawsuits, because I know there are several that are pending and not just one. So I wish I had more information on that, but this one deals specifically with, and I think they're named in the bill. Let me check real quick. I can tell you which manufacturers these bills or this particular lawsuit applies to. Sorry, my computer is a little slow today. That was Public Chapter 491. So this bill is specific to the lawsuits related to these companies. 1 second, and I will tell you what those are. So these are, sorry, my dog has heard something outside and wants to let everyone know he's around. 1 second, y'all, I'm sorry. Okay, this is specific to proceeds received from settlements with McKesson, Cardinal Health, Amerisource Bergen, and Johnson & Johnson.
Okay.
The others, I know Endo is a large one. I think Purdue is a large one that aren't spoken to specifically in this particular bill.
Okay, Zach, that is helpful. Thanks. You know, I probably watched 30 documentaries on the opioid epidemic. HBO has released one a couple of weeks ago called Crime of the Century. And if you haven't had a chance to watch it, watch it. You know, they do a great job with their investigative documentaries, and they go way back to how it all began, and then even in the last 10 years, how they manipulated the system, how they were just dishonest to keep those opioids into the hands of addicts. And it's you know, to the point they were hiring strippers to be pharmaceutical reps, and hiring FDA reviewers to review the documents before they ever got to the FDA. Just really crooked stuff. And so if you get a chance, watch that. Again, Zach, thanks so much. Some good stuff in legislative action. You know, I know we're excited about some of the governor's proposals about you know, alternative sentencing and getting people into services rather than just keeping them locked up, especially when they haven't really been convicted of a crime. They're sitting in jail, can't make bond. You know, if we can get some diversion services in place, then I think some good stuff happening as it relates to mental health and substance abuse. Okay, we'll move on to the next agenda item, and that's the Children's Committee. Jerry, I think Megan is out of town. Can you handle the Children's Committee meeting?
I sure can.
I knew you
Madison's
could.
on vacation, so y'all get me today.
All right.
So we're still meeting monthly. We've been meeting monthly since January. We've been discussing needs like we started for our needs assessment, but of course we know that our families still need stuff. So we came up with a few special projects to do this year. We know there's a need for families to know about resources and providers to know about resources for their families that they serve. So we've been promoting Matt Marshall and the United Way's West Tennessee 211. It's WTN211.org. That's his online resource website, which is really good if y'all haven't checked it out. So we've been promoting that for providers to know more about. They can actually add their agency on there, and there's even a way to get referrals through there. So I know Matt's told us about that one before, but it's a really good resource. Some other things that we have made note of, we know that the uptick in mental health and mental distress is still happening, especially since COVID. So we came up with a special project to come up with a family guide for outside, because we know outdoors, spending time outdoors in nature can help reduce mental distress. So we are working on a family guide through our committee. We've got about 20 pages. We're working on anything from specific stuff to do in West Tennessee, tips to do to give parents in West Tennessee, and then we're going to work on maybe an outdoor event around fall. And then a third special project we've been working on is we have realized that youth do not have a voice when their mental health is of concern. So Megan and some of the Youth Village staffers have come up with an idea about doing an online magazine to promote within the school systems. So they're going to do a 6-month online magazine starting in August. In August will be the naming of the magazine contest, and then they'll kick it off in September. So we've been working on those 3 projects so far. And I sent out minutes to all that yesterday.
You sure did. You're great, Jerry. Thanks. I'll give a brief report on the adult committee. It met on April 14th. It meets the day after our Region 6 meeting, and sometimes I make it, sometimes I don't. You know, we had to pull teeth to get a secretary, so I'm not going to ask for a volunteer to do adult, to participate in the adult committee. I'll continue to try to do that. But the program consisted of a NAMI Tennessee overview. I think most of us are familiar with NAMI and the kind of impact they have on the people we serve. And a lot of times, you know, like Day on the Hill, things like that, when they bring people to an event, you know, whether it's a legislative event or a community event, it really has an impact. So there was a program presented by Jeff Flayden on NAMI. And then they settled on their needs assessment that they forward to the statewide council. And their mental health needs were to establish transitional housing and respite service for homeless or potentially homeless, and to enhance workforce development to promote and maintain the professionals in the field. I think here in Region 6, that was one of the needs we forward to the statewide council was workforce. And I know Mary Linden and with Tatus and TAMHO and NAMI have a workforce work committee studying some things on workforce development. So we'll be hearing more about that over the next few days. The substance abuse priorities were increased recovery housing to include peer-run recovery residences, halfway houses, and three-quarter houses. And then the second substance abuse or misuse need was to increase educational opportunities for clinicians, health counselors, educators, and communities, faith-based organizations. So that's the adult committee report. Moving on to the program presentation, Juliette Stone is the director, and she's a new Region 6 member, and we welcome you, Julianne.
Thank you.
When we were texting back and forth earlier in the week, or maybe last week, And I asked Julianne if she would be willing to talk a few minutes about Scarlet Rope, what they do. I know we work closely with them. A lot of the people they serve have needs that we're able to meet, and a lot of the people that she serves have needs that we can make referrals to her. So we certainly welcome you, Julianne, and I'll turn it over to you to talk about the Scarlet Rope.
Okay, thank you. As Richard said, I'm the director of Scarlet Rope Project. I hope y'all have heard of us by now. We are a grassroots faith-based nonprofit based here in Jackson, Tennessee. We started in 2015, so we're going on 7 years now, and we are a residential home for survivors of sex trafficking 18 years and older. And so we started this, as I mentioned, in 2015 with just some concerned citizens in the community and some law enforcement. And the law enforcement was arresting women for prostitution, and they realized it was the same women that they were arresting. So alongside them came some concerned citizens who decided we wanted to help pull these women out of these situations. And so we really, at the time, had no clue what we were doing, to be completely honest. We've learned a lot. And we really didn't know the vast needs of the women that we were coming across. And so I'm a registered nurse. I still run my nursing license through Scarlet Rope. I am the executive director, but I'm considered a community health nurse. There is a ton of nursing involved in the care that we provide for these women. And so the first 3 years we housed our women at the care center, which is a residential home here in Jackson for women from all walks of life. And then in 2018, we took a leap of faith and rented a house and moved the women that we were serving into that home. And we then started providing 24/7 care for the women. And that's when things got really fun. And so, and all the while, those first 3 years, we really were, I myself, by this time, had left my job as a hospice nurse and became the first full-time employee for Scarlet Rope. At that point, we were under the West Tennessee Foundation as a nonprofit there, but in those 3 years, we got our nonprofit status. I transitioned into the executive director position, left my hospice job. We pulled in another lady to become the director of survivor services. Her name is Melanie Buckholz. And so by this time, then we transitioned into the house. And all the while we're doing that, we are educating ourselves. We are connecting with other like-minded organizations, anti-trafficking organizations throughout the state. We started going to conferences, one put on by Shared Hope International. If you're familiar with anything in the anti-trafficking movement, human trafficking movement, you will know that they are probably the top tier organization and help with best practices, policies, things like that. They're just the go-to resource for agencies like Scarlet Rope. And so we started going to those conferences, networking there. Started developing our relationships, as I said, with other anti-trafficking agencies. Started working more. We kind of pulled away from that model of working with law enforcement because we actually were doing stings with them, and women were being arrested and they were coming to our program that way. And that really wasn't the best way to offer services to these women, because it kind of felt like a trap, I think, because there we are with law enforcement and they've just been arrested. And so it got kind of sticky. So we kind of backed away from that. And that's when kind of our second mission came out of Scarlet Rope. So we kind of are a three-tiered mission. Obviously, we have the safe house. And now we do hotel outreach, where we've partnered with Inglewood Baptist Church, where we go into 4 hotels in Jackson, and those are the Scottish Inn, the Executive Inn, the Travelers, and the Roadway. And those are right, and the first 3 are right in the backyard of Inglewood. So we actually were doing hotel outreach, and they literally saw us over there one day grilling out, and then called me and said, hey, we want to be a part of that. And it has blown up. And so now we are there at those 4 hotels the first and third Wednesday of every month. Even during the snow apocalypse in February, they were there grilling out. And so that just, it's twofold. If obviously we're there for if there's someone that needs help immediately, but it also put our name out on the street, and we're putting our name right into the population we're serving. And so when they get this free meal, in it is the Scarlet Rope Project number and our mission. And so, but the great thing about starting the hotel outreach is that, of course, we run into people that they're not all victims of sex trafficking. They're living in these hotels. There's domestic violence. There's just homelessness, there's poverty. And so now we have those connections with Inglewood, and they know when we come across someone that's asking for help, we just give them we give them names of places, services that they can call for help. And so we've been doing that with Inglewood. And then the third tier of what we do is education and awareness. And so we go into schools and we speak to students, we speak to law enforcement, we speak to churches, we speak to sweet little old ladies that want to know about how they can help. I will talk to anybody about what our mission is. And so our goal for pre-COVID was to really get in the school systems and start educating the teachers about sex trafficking, but then all the things with COVID happened. And so I was really excited. Carroll County and a couple other counties reached out to me, and we are on their books to start back on their in-services. A side note is that there is a required in-service for all educators to go through now in the state of Tennessee on sex trafficking. It's a 20-minute video, and it was put out by In Slavery, which is one of the people that we partner with. And it's a great video, but it's 20 minutes. And it's a video, and we all know on busy days we can click on that video and do something else. And so we really feel strongly that you need to have an in-person there. And so when we do those types of education, again, we kind of tailor it to whomever we're speaking with. So basically, you know, the bottom line is that what we do, our primary goal is the safe house. And so it's long-term residential. We serve survivors 18 years and older, female survivors 18 years and older. I get referrals from males and juveniles, and we work with Carl Perkins. I work with Restore Corps in Memphis. They can take juveniles and males. And so we've just been networking and making those relationships. But the Scarlet Rope House in general is we are not an A&D facility. I will say that off the bat. However, the 40 women that we served in our residential program have all had substance abuse issues. And so we require that they do a 28-day stay somewhere before they come to our residential program. So that's where my relationship with Richard comes in, and also with Jacoa and the next door and some other places in and around Nashville and Memphis. And so we require them to do that once they come to us. And then what we really want to be and strive to be is a trauma-informed care facility, meaning that there's trauma there. And sadly, it's not just the trauma that we're dealing with when they were trafficked. It's the trauma that led them into the hands of a trafficker. Because we know that that's what traffickers do, is they play on a person's vulnerability. And so those vulnerabilities arise and occur because of trauma, and it's usually childhood trauma or early adulthood trauma. So we let the women know right off the bat that if they're choosing to come into our program, and we do work with courts, so sometimes they're court ordered, but if they're choosing to come into our program, that is the gist, that is the makeup of our program, is providing those services. We work with the trauma-informed therapist. We have specific groups that were in curriculum that was written and developed by survivors. Ending the Game is one of those things that we use, Elevate Academy. Again, those are all survivors that are now kind of leading this anti-trafficking movement. And what I've learned personally is that, I can provide services, and we can bring these women in and try to love them as best we can and all the things, but really it makes a big impact when there's someone that can sit beside them and said, hey, I've been there, I've seen that, I've been through that, to really, and then they can look to that person for hope. And so we're very much embrace survivors to come into our that either have come in, have been in our program and have graduated to come back, or people that maybe weren't in the program, but they do identify with being trafficked at one point, to come in and kind of mentor and be there for the women. We also just recently have joined the National Trafficking Sheltered Alliance, which is a referral base. And so right now, I think there's over 75 or 100 organizations, like-minded organizations like Scarlet Rope, that are a part of this organization throughout the United States. And so if there's a woman, for instance, there's a woman at one of the recovery centers now that I don't have any beds for, and she's looking for an anti-trafficking organization to go to, I can make a referral and put her in this database, and they ask a lot of questions, and then if she's willing to move out of state, we can probably find her a bed somewhere. And so I'm hoping that referral service kind of picks up a little bit more, because it sounds really great right now, but there are some kinks to it, but they're working towards it. So so that's pretty much it. I will say right now, our house is downtown Jackson. We can house 5 women. It is an undisclosed location. However, we are in the process of writing for the Federal Home Loan Bank funding. Again, Richard and Aspel have been my cheerleader this whole time and have been kind of telling me this is a great way for us to possibly build a home. So we have 2 lots on the Aspel campus. One that Aspel donated to us, and then another that a donor bought for us. And so we're submitting that application on July the 31st, and we will find out in November if we receive the funding. So y'all pray for me, because it's a lot going on right now. But if we do receive the funding, that will be an 8-bed house, and our offices will be there as well. So we're excited about that. So that's all. That's Scarlet Rope in a nutshell right there.
Julianne, thank you, and good luck with the Federal Home Loan Bank. You know, we've utilized them 2 or 3 times over the years, and it really helped us out. So hopefully things will come through for you, and appreciate the work you do. We got a few minutes, agency announcements. Anybody got some good stuff going on? Hey,
I'll go real quick, since Julianne mentioned adverse childhood experiences. We have our summit that we had planned last year. We have planned it again, and we are pumping it out virtually August 6th. So if you haven't registered, please register. It's all about collective impact. We're moving past discussing adverse childhood experiences and figuring out what our communities can do to build up resiliency and help and support families that have experienced adverse childhood experiences. So y'all please register for it.
Jerry, how can we register for it? Can you send us information?
I sure can.
While we've got a minute, I think Julian's the only new person. The people on the screen, introduce yourself to Julianne and tell who you're with. Lori, I guess we can start with you. Lori Rash.
Yes, I'm Lori Rash, and I live in Northwest Tennessee, about 15 miles from Martin. Most people have never heard of Greenfield.
Oh, I have.
But some folks have heard of UTM. So I'm just down the road from UTM, and I work for TDMHSAS, which is where Mary Linden works as well. And that is the Tennessee Association of Alcohol and Drug Addiction Services. I am a peer trainer, so I do certified peer recovery specialist trainings, which I'm so excited to be doing. So, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Mary Linden.
Well, sure. I'm Mary Linden Salter, and I'm the executive director of TDMHSAS. Besides having the certified peer recovery specialist contract, we do trainings for all kinds of clinicians across the state. We run the Tennessee Red Line. We staff and send out materials from the clearinghouse, and generally do a lot of public policy and advocacy work. So nice to meet you.
Marcus?
Yes, I'm Marcus Jones with Madison County Community Corrections. I think you come out to the middle of nowhere and spoke to us at a retreat, I guess you would call it. So, I enjoyed it. It's a good program, and thank you. And while I'm on here, we are starting to meet more with the pretrial services. So that's going to be getting going, and I know Richard's a part of that. So we're meeting regularly now, and it shouldn't be long. And I think the jail it's not completed yet, but I think they're going to be doing tours of the Madison County Jail that's being built. So Captain Rudder, he talked to us about it, and I think he will be doing tours probably coming up in the next few months. So if anybody's interested, we can get with him. Y'all can let me know if y'all are interested in that. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcus. Jerry? Jerry Moore?
First, I'm interested because I have to monitor those jails. So whenever you do that tour, let me know. And I'm Jerry Moore. I'm the Southwest Regional Coordinator with Tennessee Commission on Children and Youth.
Kubra?
Hello, I'm Kubra Arkal Bryant. I work for United Healthcare Community Plan. We're one of the MCOs in Tennessee. Nice to meet you.
Lori Hendon?
Hello, I am Lori Hendon, and I love your programs. I work for Cary Counseling Center. I am the director for our outpatient office in Obion County and also in Weakley County. And then my passion of working with children, I supervise all of our children's programs that work in the school systems. And I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're a part of us.
And then with our state friends, Avis, Kirby, if y'all want to take a minute.
I wasn't sure who was going to go first. Avis, do you want to go first?
You can go ahead, Kirby. Go ahead.
I was like waiting. I'm like, who's going to talk first? I'm Kirby Fye. I'm with the department. I work in the Division of Research, Planning, Policy, and Legislation. I had to think we added another section within the last year to our division. It changes. But you'll get to know me really well. I'm at every single meeting. Offering support to the regional and statewide councils and committees.
Hi, I'm Avis Easley. I'm the Director of Planning. And we have an office of 3. Ms. Kirby just introduced herself, as well as our administrative assistant. I'm also with the Division of Research, Planning, Policy, and Legislation. And of course, I oversee the statewide councils as well as the regional councils, which is about a total of about over 200 members. So as you can imagine, we have a big job as well as some other things that we do in the department. So you all will hear from Kirby a lot, but you will also hear from me a lot as I send things to the regional chairs to disseminate. There's pertinent information. A lot of times you will see my name at the bottom of those emails. So pleasure to speak with everyone, and glad that you joined us today for this meeting.
Now, we've got a couple of people on phones, it looks like. If you'd care to introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Heather Vestal. I am the West Tennessee Advocate with Tennessee Mental Health Consumers Association. We hold different recovery groups. We have 3 programs, actually 4 programs in our agency. We have PeerLink, which is required for members to have teen care. That will be Blue Care, United Healthcare, or AmeriGroup. I am the advocate. My program does not require any insurance. It is state funded, I help connect members in the community with different resources they may need, housing, food stamps, things of that nature. And we also have a peer-intensive care services program, which goes to the Regional Mental Health Institute in Bolivar and CSUs in Jackson, Pathways. So we meet and do recovery groups there with members and try to get them to sign up for our 90-day program. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. And one more.
Tom Greer, Western Mental Health.
Hey, Tom. And Rachel, did we miss you?
Yeah, I think I was helping one of my coworkers troubleshoot a documentation issue whenever you called on me. But I'm Rachel Euler with Youth Villages. I work mobile crisis, and Megan Gaylord is my supervisor. And I'm currently going through the licensure process and learning some more of like the admin kind of thing. So I'm getting involved in a lot more statewide meetings and learning how to be an active part of some of these committees so that I can be better at advocating for our clients and knowing kind of what's going on and helping people troubleshoot whenever they run into those kind of those well, I don't know what programs are available. Oh, I do. I'm learning all about it. So that's kind of why I'm here. So thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge, because I've been taking notes, and I'm looking forward to learning more.
Thanks, Rachel. Anybody else? Is that everybody? Okay, our next meeting, and we don't know whether it'll be virtual or in person, but it's scheduled for October the 12th. Will be our fourth quarter meeting, and we'll get something out. If we can meet in person, I would expect we'd probably go back to pathways like we have in the past, but we can make that decision as we move forward. Again, thanks everybody. Thanks department for your support. Thanks for taking time out to do this work. And hopefully we'll get to see and hug and hang out in our October meeting. But if not, we'll just keep on grinding like we are. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
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 Bye.